Greetings, everybody. My name's Timothy. As they said, I'll be talking about wellness in Thailand and aging. So before I would like to talk, I would actually like to try to quantify a little bit before I talk about any subject. I think we should try to identify and define what it is that we're actually talking about. So when we talk about this, what's important is wellness means different things to many different people. So if we talk about it, what are we actually talking about? Okay, so, sorry, the pointer's not gonna work. So when we talk about this, let's just put some of the terms out there. Vitamins, detox, relaxation. If we talk about holistic centers, flotation, hospital clinics, health centers, personal training, herbal remedy, there's so many catch terms out there. What is wellness? When we talk about wellness, what is it we're talking about? Some hospital owners are here. Some of them I recognize, some of them I don't. But each one will have a different definition and different terminology in what they interpret as wellness. Mr. Henning back there was working with us on some wellness clinic things, which is totally different in terms of the medical than it is in terms of resorts and spas. So, if I go back to another definition, sorry, it's kind of wordy. I don't like to use words, but I'm trying to show an example of, here's three terminologies that I tried to merge into one definition. So if you talk about the Global Wellness Institute, it's talking about lifestyle choices and holistic health. Now, if you go back to companies like Pfizer or healthcare groups like us, we start to talk about surviving, thriving, and understanding the significance of wellness as an important to understand how it's linked to health. Okay, so from the medical side, we're going to talk about how wellness links to good health, good active living. Okay, how is it preemptive? Okay, so then come down to the last one, which we're talking about the WHO, and that's talking about social well-being is not merely an absence of disease and infirmity. It's also mental wellness. It's also living. It's also physical. It's mental. It's social. Okay, so it's not just in the grasp of wellness in terms of health. So my focus today is going to be on wellness, quality of life, and what I'm calling longevity. So I want to try to differentiate between aging and longevity. So one of the things Thonburi Hospital Group has is we just started out what we call the Thonburi Renaissance Club. So Renaissance as in we're looking at more from an emotional, mental, social welfare aspect. So why? Why am I bringing this subject up? This is something close to our hearts in Thailand because wellness, longevity, and Thailand's aging population. Thailand is the world's first developing country to become super aged. Okay, so it's a hyper-aged society, meaning over 20% of Thailand's population is reaching over the age of 60. So we're going to be the next country hyper-aged up with Japan. But we're the only developing country to achieve that status. What does that mean? So when we talk about Southeast Asia and we look at it, in Thailand, Thailand is leading Southeast Asia. When we talk about ASEAN markets, Thailand's leading ASEAN markets outside of Singapore in terms of aging population. So what is it that we mean? What is the impact of that? If we talk about the year I was born, 1967, now you know my age. So the life expectancy was 57 to 58 years old. If we talk about the life expectancy of Thai people today is 79 years old. So the life expectancy increased by 22 years. What does that mean? Now we're talking about longevity. We're not talking about aging, we're talking about longevity. So if we put that into a different term, living with longevity, how is that different? What is it that we perceive will be the struggles? Well, if we talk about aging gracefully, public relations in terms of mental health, do people realize mental health is an aging issue? Range of motion, fine motor skills, mental sharpness, anti-anxiety, stress, friendship making are all things that have to do with parts of mental health that people suffer from. If we talk about aging risks, diet, nutrition, knowledge, in a developing country, how much information, how much importance do we put on nutrition and dietary access and knowledge? What about end-of-life care, living wills? A lot of people don't understand what end-of-life care, living wills mean. End-of-life care, the way you take care of somebody in end-of-life care is much different than you're taking care of people to try to diagnose or take care of an elderly person in the hospital. The two types of care is very different. One is trying to get them to be mentally prepared for the next afterlife, the family as well as the patient, versus coming newborn into the medical world as a newborn. So the way you look after the care is very, very different. Does this image look familiar? This is how a lot of times elderly is put in Asian society. We say we love our elderly, we love our parents, we respect our parents, so this is how we look after them. They're at home, tell them, don't go out, don't go to the shopping malls, don't go out there, you might have an accident. Wait for us, we'll take you out on the weekend. What will end up happening is their muscles will degrade, they'll have stress and anxiety, fine motor skill degradation, and they'll get stuck in a wheelchair. In a lot of our projects, one of the biggest problems we find is elderly stuck in wheelchairs or bedridden. So my point is, what is actually healthy? A healthy aging lifestyle. Is our current model sustainable? Okay, I'm putting 4 pyramid demographics on the board for you. In 1970, between 4 and 20 years old, that was the base of Thailand. When you look at it currently in 1990, it was 10 to 44 years old. Now in 2015, the majority of Thais are 34 to 60 years old. If we take it one step closer to 2030, it's going to be between 25 and 70 years old. What does that mean to Thai society? So when we talk about aging, we talk about wellness, we talk about demographics, are we actually looking at the different demographics? This also has to do with businesses designed for which demographic categories. Are we looking at it in that way? What I worry about is this model. One person oaring for the many. Just now I showed you the demographics. There's now more elderly people than there are younger people. People are having less kids. The family model is less. People are having one child. In order for a society to maintain themselves, it would have to be 2 parents for 2 kids, 2 children, and then still have longevity. We don't have that. So what happens if you have a model like A and B like this? You have less people entering the workforce, less people becoming productive, actually having to support more people on the top of the pyramid. So what I'm asking is that sustainable? Is that how we're designing our future? So I made this chart. What you can see is, traditionally, if you talk about a 3-stage life cycle, if you were looking at me when I was born in 1967 and a life expectancy of 56 years, I would have went to school for 22 years, I would have worked for 23 years, and I would have retired at 55. My life expectancy was about 56. So anywhere between 1 to 10 years, and then I'm gone. The people at the, please go back. So the people in the front, there's more people working than there is actually retired. But if you look at the top now, it's a almost 30%, 30%. You still go to school for 22 years, between 4 years old to 22 years old. You still work at, currently Thailand's retirement age is 55 years. So you're working to 23 years. If it's Singapore and you're 65 years, you're working for 33 years. But your life expectancy now is 79. So you're actually expected to be in retirement for 24 years. What does that mean? You can't get bank loans, you can't get insurance. There's a lot of things you cannot do once you retire. How is that affecting demographics? How is that affecting our healthcare? All healthcare for the elderly is cash. Is that sustainable? If you want to buy a house, you can't get a mortgage. Is that sustainable? You want people to retire for 20 years with no way of securing an income. Next. So, THG, which is our medical group, we're the 2nd largest medical group in Thailand. Our answer to it is, think of a facility tailored for the elderly. When we look at our children, we love our children. We go find the best schools, we look for the best teachers, we look for the best facilities, we want the best friends. We constantly look at all these things. But if we love our parents, why aren't we looking at the same thing? A proper aging facility that looks after the total wellness of our parents or our elderly. What would it mean? You go to meet and make friends. You want challenging, fun activities geared for their age, just like in a school. You knowledge and exercise in a safe and controlled environment and facilities for activities. It's very similar to what we do with our kids. Why aren't we doing that with the elderly? If you look at a 360-degree rotation of a life cycle, you start out, you're in Pampers, you're in diapers, you have to work on your fine motor skills, you use scissors, you use clay, and it's about stimulating the mind. What happens when you get old? You go into adult diapers, you get bedridden, you need assistance, you have to work on your fine motor skills, you have to try to fire the mind and keep your mind fresh. You go back again before when you're born and when you end, it's all the same. So, Jin Wellbeing, that's our elderly facility. It's Thailand's first complete elderly facility. We have everything from activities, wellness, 55-bed elderly hospital, and retirement community center. What we do here is we have at least 2 activities per day to keep the elderly stimulated. We have monthly fun trips across different areas around Thailand. We have overnight trips, and we have workshops and doctor talks. So just flip through here. We pause for a few seconds so that you can see the different activities. These are real residents. None of them are actresses. They come and they learn to make friends. Next. Okay. Dr. Prachak is the head neurosurgeon in Thailand. He's also the head of neurosurgery for Sirirat, also a doctor from Thonburi Hospital. So we invite people like Dr. Prachak to Jinwell to give doctor talks. We have tendon doctors, joint doctors, aging doctors, and they give class and knowledge. We have exercise classes. Next. All sorts of activities. We have indoor golf, outdoor golf. We have special events. We have Beitong. Next. And then we have a Thonburi 55-bed hospital on site. Okay. Our senior solution is 3 steps. You have residence, which is daycare, independent, and assisted living. Then you have what we call our healthcare, which is skilled nursing, memory, which is a step up. And then you have the step down, which is convalescence and rehabilitation. Convalescence meaning after surgery care. And then you'll have the wellness, which is preventative healthcare and health promotion. So part of this aspect would also be end-of-life care. So when we talk about an integrative wellness, now we get back into more of the keywords of integrated wellness again. It goes everything from nutrition to integrative medicines to activity learning, life enrichments, prevention, information search, diagnostics, treatments, monitoring, and control. So it's actually that combined that creates the integrative wellness model, and that's where we came up with the project of Jin Wellbeing. So from there, healthcare services, everything from screening to step down to IPD to OBD, which is things like chemotherapy, emerging medicines, hemodialysis, all the way to memory, dementia, Alzheimer's, things of that sort. And part of the wellness is how do you actually try to prevent that, screen it or prevent it. So anything from stem cells to, I'm not supposed to talk about certain subjects. Let me put it to you in what you would call regenerative therapies or therapeutic therapies, okay? And then from fitness and hydrotherapy would be sports, physiotherapy, and personal training, things of that sort, all the way to life enrichment, which is mental wellness, excursions, meditations, and dance facilities and life enrichment workshops with things like personal mentors, okay? So I would like to leave you with this message, and these are my tips for when we talk about wellness and healthcare. My personal tips to you would be live a graceful, enriched, and fulfilling life. And the keys to that will be live in the moment. From what I see looking after 150 elderly residents of 150 and up, live in the moment. Forgive yourself and others. Too many times we see issues with fathers, mothers having issues with their children, children keeping things to heart against their elderly parents, and by the time one passes away, they regret it for the rest of their life. Forgive yourself and others. Find humor and laugh. The more you laugh every day, the healthier you'll be. Stay curious, seek knowledge, never stop learning. Our chairman's 85 years old, Dr. Boone. He's constantly learning. He's constantly sending articles out. Kun Meng, who's in the back, will attest to the fact that Dr. Boone sends messages out every day on different quotes and different learning. Be flexible in body and mind. You see too many people as they get older, they start to become less flexed, more rigid, which creates more problems. Be active, and you are what you eat. So anyways, thank you very much for your time. That's my presentation for today.